morning, everybody. As we plan this program here at the outset, we will have but one guest for the duration of our tomorrow program this time, whose name is Joey. Joey is the author of two books. One of them is called Hit Number 29. The other is called Killer, the autobiography of a mafia hitman by Joey. And I guess for fairly obvious reasons, Joey tonight on this program, because it is a television exercise rather than radio or newspaper, will not appear as he might if you were to see him in his bedroom, shall I say. He bills himself as a mafia hitman. He has been called by some people the happy hitman. He claims to have 38 hits or killings to his credit or discredit, 35 for money and 3 for revenge. All 38 have been members of what is called the organization. Joey, I welcome you to the program here this morning. And I can't resist asking you here at the outset what might happen to you if you were to appear on this program without the facial mask and without the shadowed lighting, and if we would be able to see you as you really are. What would happen?
I would be dead very, very quickly.
Who would kill you?
The mob.
Why would they kill you? Have you not worked for them?
Yeah, but I violated their rules by writing those books. Number one, the fact that they don't know who I am is one of the reasons I'm still alive. Number two, and number three, the law would have a field day with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know who I am, but they just can't prove I've done what I've done.
Uh-huh. What would you do to me if I were to walk over and lift that mask up off your face?
I'd cut your heart out.
We now understand the ground rules, and the tomorrow program will continue after this. All right, we begin with Joey, and I'm almost compelled to ask you here at the beginning, Joey, why you do what you do, or why you've done what you've done, since I understand that you are now retired from the business.
No, you're wrong on the second part. I am not retired, and I do what I do for money. If I'm hired, I do the job. That's exactly the reason I'm here.
And why have you now chosen to write books about what you do,
well,
which puts you in some jeopardy?
Yeah,
as you say, you would cut my heart out or anybody else's heart out who would attempt to reveal your identity publicly or give your location away.
True.
And so why take the chance of writing these books and bringing this information before the public?
The first book we wrote was done with the purpose in mind of, I'm sick and tired of me and my people being blamed for what you and your people want. You want gambling, you want narcotics, you want prostitution. Well, man, stop blaming us for the graft and corruption that's involved in it. Legalize it. Or shut up once and for all. This is what the business is. Catering to people like you. That's why I wrote it. I feel that it's time that the public made up their mind. They want us or they don't want us. Now, if you want us, marry us. If not, shut up.
Well, we may want you, but I don't think we want you to kill us for wanting it.
Yeah, see, the violence in my business is basically contained within the business. If you read, if you know your history a little bit, the day of going in and shaking some mooch down to try to take over his business, I mean, this is passé. This happened in the 1910s. Today you try that, you'll have law coming out of all your ears. The violence today in my business is basically concerned in two facets. A, people in the business who have crossed somebody, have robbed from somebody, or are trying to obtain power. Because, as I said before, there's a tremendous amount of money here. The other part of violence is people like yourselves who do business with us, and you don't do it honorably. Because whether you like it or not, or whether you want to believe it or not, we are very, very honorable people. If you win our money, we pay you. If you lose your money, we want to be paid. If you borrow our money, we want to be paid back. We don't send for you to borrow our money. You come voluntarily, because the bank or the savings and loans won't give you the money. So you come to us.
I was going to ask you, how do I do business with you?
Well,
and when I say I speak for all the people. And I would assume when you say you are speaking collectively rather than me as an individual, because I don't do business with you.
Yeah, no, you yourself don't, but I would book the odds right now that people here in this room would bet with a book, and they borrowed money from a Shylock, and they bet the numbers, and they sniff coke, and they smoke grass, and they play with a broad. Now, we didn't send for them. They came voluntarily. And the only reason they come to us is because we're the only ones who are willing to take the chance of doing 30 years in a bucket to give them what they want. But we're going to charge them for it. They're going to pay. And the same thing, money that they're paying illegally could be used legally. And if you sit down and rationalize it, you realize you make a criminal out of an addict? You make a criminal out of a guy who burns down his store to pay off his bills? You do it, not me. You people all try to pass the buck about how bad we are. We're not that bad. Believe me, we're businessmen. And if you legalize all this, you realize the tax money that could be brought to the communities who need it. You realize you wouldn't have to pay for hospitalization. You wouldn't have to pay for roads or for schools and education.
You're not running for office here.
Hell no. But I'm stating a fact. And if you want to rationalize it, you'll see that I'm stating this fact.
Well, but there's another theory that if you put a big enough pile of cow dung out in the middle of the road, you'll attract a sufficient amount of flies to
Right.
it. And oftentimes what you put out there could be characterized as just so much cow dung. Gambling, prostitution, narcotics, money.
When was the last time you went to Vegas, Reno, Curacao, the Bahamas, or Puerto Rico?
I was in Las Vegas 3 years ago.
Okay, who stuck a gun in your ribs to make you go there?
Nobody.
Okay, you went voluntarily, right?
Of course.
What about all those other people that were up there?
They were all there lawfully. They went there because they wanted to go there, to see a show, to roll the dice, to play cards, whatever.
Okay, now, everybody ain't got the time to go to Vegas or to go to the track, but they still want to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Now, New York has finally gotten smart. They put in off-track betting. And let me tell you something, friend, they knocked the horse book right out. As badly run as that operation is, they knocked the horse book out. So now Massachusetts has just legalized sports betting. And they knocked the sports bet out. New Jersey put in a daily lottery. They killed the numbers racket. New York is now going to legalize numbers. Atlantic City is now going to put in legalized casino gambling as of this summer.
Atlantic City is going to put in legalized casino gambling?
Right. And New York State.
Well, they're going to have a very busy summer in Atlantic City.
You better believe it. And they were dying on a vine there. But tell me something. If I'm so wrong, how come racetracks are always so packed?
Because people like to go out and bet money on things.
There is your answer.
Now, give me the answer to the question, because I think it's probably in all of what you've said so far, as to why you kill people. Because they don't pay the money that they owe to your people?
No, the people that I have killed in the business are people who have either crossed their bosses, have ratted on them, or have tried to obtain power. That's the reason.
People within the organization?
Within the organization.
And what is the organization?
The organization is gambling, narcotics, prostitution, anything that's considered illegal as far as what man wants.
Is the organization what has been referred to in some works of fiction as the mafia?
That's only one piece of it. No one group can control it. It's a physical impossibility. The smartest man in the business is not Italian. And he's probably, in my opinion, the most brilliant man that I've ever known. And a lot of them are Italian, a lot of them are not. But they found they cannot fight one another.
Mm-hmm. Do you say the name publicly of this man?
I would rather not.
You'd rather not?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't think I should. I like the man, and I don't believe that it would be in my interest or anybody else's interest to say his name.
When something happens that it becomes necessary for somebody to be killed, how are your services contracted for?
Well, there's about a half a dozen people who know me personally, who have known me for a good long time, who know what I do. When the word goes out, get a hitman, maybe one of these men who is a button man or is a boss will contact me. He will send me a message through somebody that he wants to see me. And I will go meet the man. Maybe I'll meet him at a track. Maybe I'll sit down and have dinner with him. Maybe we'll take a ride in the country with him, whatever. Maybe we'll take a walk, where we know we're pretty safe and we can discuss what we want. Mm-hmm. And he'll tell me that he's got a job for me, and I'll say, what's the job? He says he wants somebody knocked down. I say, okay, what's the tab? And depending on the importance of the person, it's going to be dependent on the money. And and the book Hitch 29 I described where this one guy was stealing from the mob. And I was contacted by a button man I know. First I was contacted through a man who knew me, who told me to go up and see this guy. I met him up in the Bronx. We went and we had dinner. And he told me the guy he wanted knocked down. And when he told me the guy's name, I almost fell out of my seat. I couldn't believe it. Because the guy was making a ton of money as a controller, which is numbers, which meant he was responsible for number runners. And this guy was making easy, 5,000 a week, and I couldn't figure out what this guy was doing wrong. And what he was doing is he was setting up other controllers to be robbed, and it turned out that he had become a degenerate gambler, and he was betting football games pretty bad, and he was up to his ears, and the only way he could pay off the BMs was he had to steal the money, and he started setting up the other controllers. He even set himself up.
BM's big men?
Bookmakers.
Bookmakers.
Right. And he said he found two idiots that would go out and do the job for him. So after they was sure that he was the one who did it, and they checked it, rechecked it, and then checked it again, they decided he had to go. So I was given a contract.
Now, what determines the price of your service is how important the hit is.
Well,
or is it also the complications involved in getting to the mark?
Once I agree on a price, which is, as a rule, runs about $20,000. Once I've agreed on this price, then there's no more question. Now it's up to me to do the job, and whatever expenses are involved, that's my own headache. But as a rule, I mean, generally it take me anywhere between a week to 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks, to set somebody up. Sometimes I go to a town, I get sent to a town, they already got the mark all set up for me, but I spend maybe 3, 4, 5 days checking it out just to be on the safe side, and then I blow them away.
Provided that I do not do anything to reveal your identity or assault your integrity, do I or does any other, quote, law-abiding citizen, end of quote, have anything to fear from you?
Not at all. I'm not interested in you. You're not part of my business. I have nothing to do with you. There's no way in the world that anybody in this room could hire me to take you.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, although some people in this room may not be so happy about that. I must pause here for some words from our sponsors. We will continue with Joey the Hitman after these announcements. Joey remarked during the commercial that I am a nervous fellow, and I confess to being a little apprehensive in your presence tonight because of your reputation. I don't want to be 39. Now, you've told me that that's not going to happen.
Well, the count is not 39 no more. It's 42. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to be number 43. I don't want to be number 65. You know, when I meet the Maker, I don't want you to be the guy that sends me there. I want to die in my bed at a ripe old age, secure in the knowledge that I've had a long and full life, as I'm certain you do. You don't want to die young, do you?
Don't bother me.
You're not afraid of death itself.
Hey, listen, we all got to get knocked down, so what's the difference if I can do it today, tomorrow, or 30 years from now?
Isn't there anything else in your lifetime that you'd like to do?
I do whatever I want to do now.
I know, but could you go out tomorrow and say, well, that's it, I've done everything I wanted to do? Don't you want to visit France? Maybe you already have. Wouldn't you like to visit...
What's over in France? Oh, France, a bunch of people I can't understand.
Anyway, my apprehension, I suppose, is based upon all the books that I've read about the mob, going to see motion pictures like The Godfather. We're playing the theme song from The Godfather here tonight, and I kind of visualize you as being part of that whole shadowy and somewhat scary thing which we loosely referred to, us, quote, law-abiding citizens, end of quote, as the underworld. Right. And I'm a little bit scared of that. I don't want to get, I don't want that to touch me. I don't want to get hurt by that.
Well, see, in our business, as I said before, we don't come to you. You come to us. The person you got to fear is the two-bit jerk out the street that's going to put a knife to your neck and try to rob you or mug you or something like that. You got to be afraid of. As long as you ain't bother me, pal, ain't no way I'm going to bother you. Ain't no reason for me to bother you. I mean, you're just a guy trying to get by in the world, like all of us. This is my business. I stick with my business. I don't go away from my business.
How'd you get into your business?
I was hungry. In plain English. I come from a neighborhood out there where, I mean, we weren't poor. We were just destitute.
Can you say what town you're from?
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx in New York. You know, I was raised in an era of poverty, and that was it. And so where I come from, I mean, it was all refugees. All our people were refugees. I mean, they were Italian, they were Irish, they were Polish, they were Jews, they were everything, Spanish. And the only way you could learn to survive is you stole. And you had to steal blood in somebody else so you could get there first. And you had to learn to be a little meaner. In other words, if you had a target set up and two guys came along and said, we're going to take it, you better hit them with a bat or something, because that's yours. And if you were running numbers and you had a good territory, and somebody came along...
Everybody else keep out, right? Fight for your territory.
Fight for it, pal, and if you got to, you killed for it. And I was lucky. I could fight.
And you could kill.
And I could kill. I learned to do it. I learned very young that if you're a nice guy, when it comes to the business, you out of the business.
Did you have to learn how to kill people, or did that come natural to you?
Well, the first man I ever killed, I was offered so much money. To me at that time was $5,000. I was 16. It was natural. I wanted that 5 G's. I wanted to be somebody different, and I was.
How'd you kill him?
I walked up behind him and shot him in the head.
How do you kill people? What are the varieties of ways that you use?
I use a gun. I don't look to torture nobody. I don't look to call them up. I just look to blow them away. Just do the job and keep going.
It's not like in that movie that I mentioned where the wire comes up behind the guy in the seat of the car, or...
Well, it's nice fiction. At least I never seen it done. And if you check just about every hit that's ever been known, the guy was either stabbed a few times and he was probably dead after the first one nailed him, or they blow a hole into him. I mean, you don't torture people. I mean, only idiots do this. What do you win? The guy's going to die, let him die.
You're not a sadistic person.
No.
You don't want to inflict pain on people.
No.
You just want to blow them away.
That's it.
You said before that society has nothing to fear from you, that you could go out and get your head bashed in by some punk on the street. And I would say, or I would infer from your saying that, Joey, that you think that that's wrong.
Well, yeah, it's wrong because you as an individual, you got a right to do what you want to do. See, this is where your conflict runs in. See, the things that I'm involved in is what the law basically calls victimless crimes, which is basically my main forte is gambling. This is my main thing in life. Now, the law says you can only gamble at certain places.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
Right, Vegas, the
OTB
track,
in New York.
Yeah, OTB. But at least OTB gave you the chance, that you didn't have to take the afternoon off and go to the track. You can walk into one of several hundred joints and lay your bet down. And the best part about it is you don't do it on credit. You got to go for what's in your kick. So you're not going to get jammed up, and have to go look for a shot to bail out with. You're not going to call some guy on a horn and say, give me 100 across here, or give me, I want to bet, what's the line on this particular game, and the guy's going to give you the price, and you're going to bet 500 that you don't have, and you're laying 550 to 5 to begin with, so you're getting beat right down on the price. You're giving points, plus you're laying 10% vig.
Anyway, if you or I were to walk out here on the street out in front of this building right now, and some punk came up and bopped us both over the head and damn near killed us and took our wallets, that would be wrong.
Yeah.
Or if somebody shot us and took our money, that would be wrong.
Yeah.
Why isn't it wrong when you blow somebody away?
Because I don't bother people like you. Even the cops say I'm doing them a favor. Because they can close out all the things they want to close. Anytime I knock somebody down, they say, well, there's another one we don't have to worry about. Like I explained once before to somebody, you can go out and you can kill 100 hoods a day. You get beautiful headlines, gangland killing, arrest imminent, usual garbage. Nothing happens. But you knock off one innocent citizen in a public place, and pal, you got martial law. And when we were writing this book, I told it to the guy that was writing with me, and he looked at me like I was sick in the head. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, a couple of guys got knocked off in New York on the Neapolitan noodle, and they were innocent Joes. You had martial law in that town. You had numbers runners couldn't go out and make a living.
The question still is, why is it all right for you to go and kill somebody, but it's not all right for me? Let me put it that way.
Oh, because I kill only in my business. I don't kill out of the business. I don't come after people like you or that cameraman over there or that guy sitting over there playing solitaire.
Where's the guy playing solitaire? Oh, that guy over there playing solitaire. How long has that guy been playing solitaire around here?
As long as you've been paying him.
We're paying that guy to play solitaire. The red 8 goes on the black 9. But why does the guy have to be killed? Why can't he be talked to?
You don't talk to him. I mean, once the guy crosses you, you don't want to. I mean, you knock him down as a warning to the others. See, it's a funny thing, like in my business, as many guys have been knocked down because they done wrong. There's always somebody else going to do wrong. And it's just a funny way. I don't know. I can't explain. It's human nature. But I'm the guy that they come to when they got a problem. That's it.
Many times, then, the people that you have to exterminate are people that you don't even know. Is that
For the
right?
most part, I don't know. No.
Do you ever feel remorse for these people? Do you ever think he's got a wife, he's got some kids? I wish I didn't have to do this, but I have to do it?
No way. All I think about is that I took a job, I guaranteed that job with my life. He goes.
Why shouldn't you be prosecuted for that? Why shouldn't the cops come and get you?
They have come and got me. They just don't convict me. I've been tried for murder. I've been brought before grand juries 27 times. But listen, if they can't hang me, what am I supposed to do? Say, here, do the job? What, are you crazy?
No, I'm not crazy.
Okay, then. I'm not about to go. Would you help somebody lift your wallet?
Of course not.
Would you help somebody take your TV set out?
Of course not.
Then why should I have somebody put me in jail?
Because you're a killer.
Okay, so I'm a killer. What about the guy that pulls the switch in the electric chair? He's a killer. What about the guy that drops the cyanide tablets in the gas chamber? He's a killer. What about the guy that pulls the trigger on the firing squad? He's a killer. What's your next question?
It'll be on you right after these words from our sponsors.
Tomorrow guest accommodations furnished by the Sheraton West Hotel, one of the more than 300 Sheraton hotels and motor inns worldwide.
We probably haven't provided you with a hotel room, have we?
I take care of my own hotel room.
Would it ever happen that you would be assigned a contract, or you would enter into a contractual agreement to do a job, and then for some reason that job was called off? I mean, once your wheels are set in motion, can you be stopped? Tell me how that works.
The only person who can stop me is the man who hires me.
When has it happened that you've been...
It hasn't.
It's never happened. Have you heard of it happening in other cases?
A couple of times, not often.
Once the die is cast?
Once the die is cast, that's the name of the game, pal.
I've not asked you how much money you make from this every year, and I don't know if that's any of anybody's business.
It isn't.
Do you make a lot of money?
Well, let's put it this way. I make enough to eat steady, sleep good, drive a nice car, buy good clothes, go where I want to go.
How do you go where you want to go? How do you drive a nice car? How can you leave your name anywhere?
Because I do it in my name. I can get you 12 million names. How many names you want? Go to the cemetery, pick out a name, I'll get you the ID.
Do you wear that mask when you go to buy clothes?
No.
Just walk in without the mask?
Yeah, I walk in with a yo-yo in the counter, know who I am?
Never know.
You got 6'2" and even, you don't.
So you lead kind of a normal life?
Basically, yeah, I'm a very quiet man. I live a very quiet life. I don't go out jumping all over the joint. I don't bounce. I like quiet things. I like to play maybe some claviage.
Some which?
Claviage. It's cards.
What kind of cards do you like to play?
Claviage.
How does that game work?
Oh, you deal out a whole bunch of cards and you play them out. Or you play hearts.
Hearts. Oh, yeah. Hearts. Now I understand.
Play hearts.
With the Queen of Spades and the 13 points and all that
stuff. Or you play Rummy, or you play Pinochle. I like to, I socialize. I have a few close friends of mine who I like to socialize with. I like to go bumming. Do what I want. Take my old lady out someplace. Maybe sit home, watch the tube. Take the dog for a walk.
Just your average, quiet, hired killer.
Right.
Yeah. Do you report your earnings to the Internal Revenue Service?
Oh, I file an income tax every year.
Yeah. You do.
You better believe it. Of course, I don't put down my occupation as such, but I file.
What occupation do you list?
How about salesman?
Salesman. All right. I'll give you 6-2 and even on salesman. That's probably part of your work.
Mm-hmm.
The statement you made a while back about people want prostitution, and they do, and they want to gamble, and they do, and they want to smoke grass, and they do. I've heard a number of people tell me on this program that oftentimes the police are on the take because they too realize that people want these things.
Exactly the reason they're on the take.
They don't want to close down a house of prostitution or an after-hours bar or a numbers game or a bookie joint. Or
by them being on the take, it serves two purposes. One, it fattens their pockets, and two, it gives them a certain area of control. You know, I mean, they always can get their hands on. You know, if they want to make, you know, they make a pinch to make it look good. You know, because the church group has been screaming, you know, about this. So they knock a guy off. They knock a goulash joint off, or whatever they got to do. You know, just to pacify people. So you take a pinch, you pay a fine. Maybe you do 5 days in a bucket. That's not. But
Have you ever done time?
who, me?
Yeah.
I'm innocent. I never go. I never
Okay.
do time.
I thought maybe for a speeding ticket or something like that.
Well, you pay your tickets.
Yeah.
There's a very funny story about that in New York. A guy I knew, the guy was in the narco business, and he's got 30 kilos of heroin in his car. And one day he's going down the street, and he's got a tail light out. So a squad car pulls him over. He says, "What's the problem?" He says, "You got a tail light out." So the cop wants to be a real copper. So he gets on the horn. He wants to find out the guy's got any outstanding tickets, and the guy had about 12 of them. He takes us to the station house, and they open up the trunk, and there's 30 keys of heroin. So you take care of your tickets.
And that was the end of that.
That's it, pal. In this business, you find that the little things can get you in a lot of trouble, a lot quicker than big things, because the big things you're going to take care of.
Are you a careful person?
I try to be.
You make certain your taillights work?
Yep.
Pay your traffic tickets?
Yep.
File your income tax returns? Yep. Make certain everything's taken care of, Joe.
Right. All the bills are paid promptly. I ain't got nobody knocking on the door. I owe money, you know. I just, you know, like I say, you just do things quietly so you don't get tripped up.
Do you think that these commissions like the Knapp Commission in New York and some other investigations that have taken place in cities such as Chicago, where they want to clean up police departments, do any good at all?
No.
Why not?
Because all they do is they drive the price of graft up. You're not going to knock it out by trying to persecute the cop. Because the cop figures, well, okay, I'm in so far, I'm going to go a little further. So now if you're paying the guy $1,000 a month and you start leaning on him, the price is not going to go to $2,000, maybe $2,500 a month. He's not going to stop. The money's too good. He's willing to take the same chances I am now. Now he's in the same boat I'm in. He ain't no different.
When you're doing your job, are there any places that you would not hit somebody?
I won't hit him in his own home. I won't hit him in a place of worship.
Why not in his own home?
Oh, to me, a home is a man's, you know, castle. That's a sanctuary, man. You don't go in there and bomb somebody out. Catch him outside the house, fine. You don't go in there and do it.
They say that word travels quickly in the underground. I suppose it
How
does.
about the underworld? The underground's what they had over in Europe, don't work.
All right, the underworld. Word travels quickly among criminals.
Very quickly.
Don't you think that the people who are your targets know you're coming after them?
As a rule, no. As a rule, just about everybody I've ever hit always thought they were safe until bing, they got nailed.
When has it happened that somebody knew you were coming and tried to get away?
When he heard the hammer click.
Nobody has ever known that you're coming after him? Nobody has ever gotten the word, hey, there's a contract out on you, Sam, you better look out, Joey's coming? That's never, ever happened?
No, somebody may suspect that they're going to get nailed, but as a rule, the party that puts the contract out on them, I mean, why should he allow the party to be warned? He's only defeating his own purpose.
Yeah, but word travels quickly.
Mm-hmm. But again, as I say, when you have a contract out, there's only a couple of people that know about it, and they're going to keep their mouth shut. Like I knew a friend of mine was going to get knocked down because I was offered the contract. Because we had been as close as we had been, I turned it down. And I had dinner with the guy like a week before he got knocked over, but I never said a word to him.
Some friend you were.
Well, listen, I was nice enough not to take the job.
Yes, you were. We will continue with Joey, who is the author of Killer, which is now in paperback and hit number 29 when the Tomorrow program continues after these announcements. All through this, we've been playing the love theme from the motion picture The Godfather, which probably creates in some people's minds the impression that you might be a member of the mafia or you're somehow connected with the Sicilian or Italian organizations, and I dare say that probably isn't a fair representation for you, is it?
No, not really. It's, as I said, the mob is a whole lot of different things. Unfortunately for the Italians, they're the one who always get in the newspaper.
Well, why do we associate it so much with the Italians?
Well, who's the one who gets all the publicity?
Well, the Italians get all,
Okay.
but why do they get all the publicity?
Well, because in the early 1900s, when the refugees first come over here from Italy, they had the terrorist organizations that used to lean on them, and that's where it really stemmed from. And then as years went by, the newspaper writers and the radio guys and the TV and the authors, you know, every time they wanted to write a story, well, we'll pick on the Italians, and that's how it happened. But if you want to start checking through the names, you're going to find a lot of other names in there besides Italian. You'd be amazed at all the different ethnic groups involved. You gotta have them. Because,
Amaze me.
well, you got Jews, you got Irish, you got Polacks, you got Spanish.
You mean Polish people?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't mean to offend you. Sorry.
No, you're not offending me.
Oh, okay.
But if we don't want to pick on the Italians, then we don't want to pick on the Polish people and call them a...
Okay, so...
you understand what I mean,
Yeah, okay.
Joey? You know, we don't want anybody upset.
But
you know what I mean?
you got so many different groups that are involved. You know, see, they have to work with one another because they got to live with one another. And they don't live with one another, they dead. Because they tried fighting one another. They tried it. What happened? They had bodies all over New York, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland. All right, so then they got together. And by the way, I want you to know that the organization wants to thank the Baptist Church for creating the organization.
Why should we thank the Baptist Church?
Who created Prohibition?
Well, among others.
Among others, they were the leader. They were the leader.
Well, I think people in the Women's Christian Temperance Union...
Well, what is the Women's Christian Temperance Union?
I don't know. Are they all Baptists?
99 9/10.
Well, all those people who are members of the Temperance Union, when you send in your letters claiming that you're not a Baptist, send them to Joey the Hitman. Now, I'm not going to give you the address because I don't want my heart cut out, you know what I mean? But you send him the letters, okay? Because we're going to get letters on that case.
Oh, okay, but it's a fact. If you want to check your history, it's a fact. You created Prohibition, so now you created an era where people wanted to drink. You tell them they can't drink. What, are you crazy? That's like telling them they can't breathe.
Or they can't drive their cars on Sunday.
Right, so... Okay, so what happens? They found somebody to make sure they got the booze. Look at the biggest name in American politics stemmed from being bootleggers, Kennedy. The finest restaurant in New York, 21, bootleggers. Not a good guy when he was alive. Sherman Billingsley, bootlegger. Where'd they come from? Shaw, bootlegger.
Some of the finest names in America.
Okay. But they were bootleggers. Joseph Kennedy was one of the biggest bootleggers in history. And to this day, his family still gets a cut on every fifth of scotch that comes into this country. Hey, it ain't bad.
No, it isn't bad.
Sorry, I ain't a Kennedy.
This thing, getting back to the Italians here, like was the Godfather, was that not a proper representation of what really goes on?
Well, I mean...
Did you see the picture?
I laughed myself pretty good with it. I thought it was funny, because you're going to tell me that a guy that's willing to deal in murder, numbers, and other assorted things ain't going to deal in narcotics? Tell me another story. I think it was nicely done. It was good fiction. It was a well-acted picture. But forget about a lot of, and like when you're going to go kill a guy, you're gonna have 93 guys there with submachine guns to blow him away. That's a joke. I mean,
what do you have, 92 guys with submachine?
Well, did you see that thing there where they're supposed to kill a guy at the toll gate?
Yes.
No, what do you...
You know what upset me most about that scene?
No.
That fantastic car that James Caan was driving in the picture, the yellow one, whether it was an old Buick or a Pierce Arrow, they destroyed that damned automobile.
Oh, well, it's the movies. What do you expect?
Well, I would have liked to have the car.
Why don't you contact the people who made the flick and see what you can do with them?
Well, they probably don't have the cars anymore.
Well, ask them where
anyway,
they got.
that was fiction at the toll gate where he drives up and everybody blows his brains
Yeah,
out.
but see, I mean, you're going to go kill a guy. You don't want an army there. You're not looking to attract attention. I mean, you're going to get enough attention afterwards.
Yes.
Like once I walked into a restaurant in New York and I blew a guy away. And I think there were 11 or 14 witnesses. I don't remember. And I was lucky to see the police reports afterwards. Every one of them gave a different description of what I looked like.
When you're in a restaurant
Yeah.
and you kill somebody in a restaurant and there are people around, how do you get out of there without
Just
some...
walk out.
I mean, wouldn't a
Nice and
citizen
easy.
try to grab you and stop you and...
Would you?
Joey, I really don't know. Honest to God, I really don't... You know,
right?
probably not. You know, in that situation...
Okay, you want to take a vote here on anybody here in the place? Ask them. Ask them how many people want to stick their neck out, you know, because somebody just got blown away. I mean, if you're on the street and you saw somebody being attacked, mugged, or something like that, and there's 90 trees, yeah, you got a shot. You're going to go up against a pro? You got to be crazy. And let me tell you something.
If I know you're a pro.
Paul, when you hear that noise, you're not going to bother to find out if I'm an amateur or a pro. You're going to hit the deck and you're going to hug that floor and you're going to kiss it. And you're going to say, "Sweets, I ain't never leaving you."
To the floor.
That's right, Paul.
You mentioned that there was a time when all the people involved in the underworld were fighting each other and there were bodies in Detroit and Cleveland, Chicago. Has that all changed now? How much of a change has there been in the last 10 years or 20 years or 25?
Tremendous changes.
In what way?
Actually, in the last 40 years. Because they realized by banding together, they could organize. By organizing, they could control gambling, they can control narcotics, they can control liquor, or whatever else they wanted to control. It's the old saying, you know, united we stand, divided we fall. And that's just what the business is. I mean, you've got to stick together. It's like if you and I, we're both bookmakers, right? I got a territory, you got a territory.
It's make-believe now,
Okay,
folks.
what'd you say? Now, you think I'm doing good, and I think you're doing good, and next thing you know, we have one another's trouble. Okay, so all we got is a lot of bloodletting, and we ain't made a quarter out of the deal. Now we sit down and say, "Hey, Tom, listen." You say, "Yeah, Joe, what?" Okay, what are you doing on this ball game? So we'll take 2 ball games, right? You'll say, "Well, I'm sitting there with maybe 19,000 over," which means in order to have an even breakage. You're sitting with 19,000. I says, I got about 18 G's the other way. So we sit down, we wake it up. I'll help you, you help me. So now we wake off what we call the VIG. Now we got 10% to play with. Now you got 10% of, let's say, $100,000. You're guaranteed to put 10 G's in your kick. So we cut up 10 G's, 5,000 apiece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we businessmen. The other way, we're taking a chance of getting our brains knocked out and plus killing one another. That's your difference of organization.
A while ago, you said that you were not afraid of dying. Everybody's got to go down sometime or another. What's the difference? You're doing what you want, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
If you really believe that, why don't you pull the mask off?
Because they ain't stupid. I say I ain't afraid of dying. I ain't going to give somebody an opportunity to just come ahead and do it. I've had a few people try it already. I was in a joint one night when a guy came at me with a can, and I said, "Sweet, you better pull the trigger, because if you don't, you're going to die." He died.
Why would anybody want to kill you? Because, as you say, it's business. If the police are not after you,
Well, no, what happened?
if you've been before grand juries and there aren't enough witnesses in any court to convict you of any crime, everybody that you've killed has been done on a contract basis. It's been business. You haven't killed anybody out of personal passion, so who would have revenge against you?
Well, again, as I say, I have violated the rules of the organization.
By printing the books.
That's correct.
Wasn't that stupid?
Oh, I don't think so. If I did, I wouldn't have done it. If it was so stupid, I wouldn't be here making an interesting program for you.
No, that's true. But as you say, you don't
But
want...
I'm hoping, in what I'm doing...
But you're going to save America with these
Hell
books?
no! But what I'm hoping I'm going to do is I'm going to let people get smart. It's time that they did get smart. You ain't going to save nobody. One thing you're going to save is your money if you don't take it out of your pocket. But make up your mind. What the hell do you want? You want to sit there and be a moralist, or you want to be a realist? And you just can't write laws against morality. It's just a physical impossibility. It's been proven since the beginning of time when people started writing it down. Every time you had a dictator said you can't do it, somebody went out and did it. Every time you had some yo-yo who said, "This is no good for man," somebody sat there around and said, "Sure is, go ahead, pal." And regardless of what the consequences are, somebody is going to go ahead and do it and provide it. as long as there's somebody else who wants it. Now, I think it's time that it was legalized. Now, you're the one who sits there in horror that a man like me exists. Hell, man, you created me. What's the matter? You don't like your Frankenstein?
Well, we've been all through that.
Okay.
That we created you.
That is absolutely correct.
But I just wonder if you're
This is
going
like
on this program or any other program and writing, the Killer book or the Hit 29 book is going to wake anybody up.
I think so. It's woke a lot of people up.
We'll see, Joey. I have to do you asked me what I want to do. I want to do this little commercial here.
Okay, go right ahead.
And then the toughest hit you've ever had to make, where you really had to put all of your genius to work.
Well, this one here in the book was a very, very tough one,
No,
29.
Number 29?
Yeah, that was a very tough one. Another one I had was, I had a guy that was really in hiding. They knew he had done wrong. He took a hike with the banker's money that he was supposed to use to pay out on a big hit. Or something like he took off with something like about 18,000. And the banker just said, well, you find him, we even, which means he's dead. Now I had to go find him. So I had to do, what I did is I got hold of the postman who delivered the mail, and I told him I wanted the postmarks written or for all the mail that went to his family. And then I got hold of his brother who was a junkie, and I put him in a room, and I just let him stay there. And it took me almost 7 weeks before I was able to run him down. And I followed a lot of blind alleys. And that was about the toughest as far as actual, but the real toughest hits were the ones where I had to go after my wife's killers. They were the tough ones. It took me 2 years. And I didn't stop hunting them. But I got them. And it's funny, but even now, almost 15 years later, I still think about that woman.
I was going to ask you if, you're a man that's not given to any displays of emotion. Do you cry about that?
No, you don't cry.
Have you ever
You
cried?
hate it.
Have you ever cried, Joe?
No, you don't cry. You just learn to hate. And that hate is what's driven me on. When I found out that she had been murdered, I had known how to dislike before that. I knew how to be oblivious to things before that. But that's when I really learned how to hate. And I'm very good at hating. So the toughest hits I ever made, I would have to say, were the 3 men that killed my wife.
Joe, I'm going to let you go. The names of the books are Hit Number 29 and Killer. And I probably won't see you on the street. So...
You may.
Well, I won't know it.
No, you won't.
And if I did, I'd keep my mouth shut. We will continue and tell you about tomorrow night's program after these announcements. Joey.